Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, please come join me for a moment and imagine how amazing you'd feel living the unique and distinct life that you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value for others. Well, that's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend Nick Craig. And he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before we bring him on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank him for being our guest star today. We're calling it The Courage to Remember. And it goes like this. Some spend their lives with borrowed maps, following roads they didn't choose, climbing ladders, rising higher, chasing a dream, but not knowing whose. But Nick kept listening through all the noise, past the roles and expected names, until a deeper fire ignited within and called him out beyond the frames. He's learned that purpose is not invented, it waits beneath the dust and drift, a buried ember, a holy summons, a lifelong wound that hides a gift. And once that ember finds its breath, you never lead the same way through. You stop asking, what do they want? And ask, what am I here to do? So if your world has lost its compass, if old directions no longer fit, then lean in close. This may be your moment. Your soul may already be claiming it. This is The Courage to Remember, and Nick is here to wake it in you. Hey, Nick, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful way to capture much of what I would want to talk about. So I guess we're done. That's great.
It's been great having you on the show, Nick. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Fastest interview ever.
well, that
Hey,
was beautiful.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
So why don't you get us started by telling us what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Yeah, and it gets to what you just described. Much of the work I do these days is helping people step into and discover that deeper purpose that's always been there inside them. I feel like we're in a point in history where all the maps are broken.
Hmm.
I think it's hard for anybody to find a map that used to work that they would say tomorrow is a great map to follow. In some ways, we all need to go from spending our life finding the best map to becoming a map maker. And it's a huge transition in identity for all of us, as well as what our muscle memory is. And my experience is that all the work I've done on purpose, purpose is that unique gift that we bring to the world. In some sense, by definition, it is calling us to create the map that no one else can create.
Right.
So in some ways, that's what I'm doing these days. I'm doing a lot more work outside of corporations with individuals, with people who want to figure out their next chapter, with private purpose-driven companies, and then what much of the last 15 years has been, which is the Fortune 500.
Hmm.
And it feels like a beautiful opportunity. We sit in a world today where the unknown is facing all of us. We can't go back to the way it used to be. We're not sure where it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the place for those of us who have purpose to create the map, because the ones who create the new maps will be the ones who lead. And that's
Yeah.
basically where I find myself.
And so you've been working more with individuals than with large corporations as you've evolved in your core institute. One of the things that I noticed about your work, and then also some of the um, things that I've recognized in my life, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I wrote that I think businesses are a lot like people. People in businesses can do many things with discipline and effort. They can be trained to do things well. But when they discover the thing that a person or a business is meant to do, that's when the magic happens. So
Yeah.
can you draw on your experience to say how in that way people and businesses are the same, and most of us don't find don't find our purpose because we're following another business plan or another map as you call it.
Yeah, one of my gifts is in the last 15 years, I've gotten to work with Lego Group, and their purpose is to inspire and create the builders of tomorrow. But that came
Hmm.
out of them almost going bankrupt in 2003. And they had to ask the fundamental question of if we went away tomorrow, would anyone care and what would be missed? And it
Yeah.
was their avid fans that sat down with the CEO and the COO and said, listen, it's about creativity. It's about the
Yeah.
brick. You can't, that's it. It's not about toys. It's not about toys at all. Their purpose has nothing to do with toys or kids. And you know what? A lot of the people who are buying them are adults these days because they want to go
Hmm.
back to that part of themselves. And, you know, they've had it, they lost it, they got it back, they've stepped into it. It's an iterative, it's for me, purpose is alive. It's almost like purpose is a live member on the senior team in the companies I've worked with where it
Yeah.
works. And
Yeah.
it speaks and it has a voice. And it's not a something on the wall. And I think
Yeah.
the same thing's true for us as an individual. For me, is my purpose has a voice. And it's not the victim voice. It's not the what's going to happen tomorrow voice. It's not the
Yeah.
voice that looks at the newspaper and goes, oh my gosh. It's a very
Yeah.
different voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's great. And when you find your purpose, life doesn't get necessarily easier, but man, everything takes on meaning. And I think that that happens with people and with businesses. And I really love that you discovered that in your work, Nick. So let's do a little mathematics so our friends all around the world can get to know you through our happy
Okay.
formula. It's really simple, but it's very powerful, and it goes like this. Power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are your personal practices for building up all the power that you need to get things done, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, spiritually, or emotionally? In other words, Nick, what do you do on a regular basis to create the power you need to take great care of yourself and your loved ones and still have plenty of juice left over so you could be a giver to others?
So what I want to say to everyone is I worked with people all over the world for many, many years, and they figured their purpose out, and it was all about serving and making a difference in the world. And the problem was, is there was one person missing from that equation, themselves. They gave the most precious thing to everyone else, but they never gave it to themselves.
Yeah.
And the biggest and the hardest thing for all of us to do is to give the greatest gift we give to others to give to ourselves. Are we worthy of that gift? And the truth is, many of us are not sure. And it is the hardest and most powerful thing we can do. I spend about an hour a day where I go into, you could argue, a meditative state in which I have a dialogue with the more fuller expression of my purpose, in which it's like, where do we need to, where are we? What is it I need to hear? And
Hmm.
how do I step more fully into this unfolding? The beautiful thing about purpose is you never arrive.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, it's almost as if I have the perfect expression of my purpose sitting there going, okay, that was good. Now, let's have a conversation about today and where do we need to step into the next level? So for me, it's an ongoing dialogue and it's a daily dialogue, and I have to
Hmm.
do it every day because otherwise, all the other things that everyone else is saying takes over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And how do I know that I'm listening? And how do I know? And so that in writing and thinking and expressing it is part of, I find people say, you know, you should, they say, oh, we write a book. I go, well, no, the book writes you. And you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about is you don't know what's going to come out until you write it. And when you write it, you discover
Correct.
you know. And as a result of writing it, you go, how could I not know this? And
Yeah.
then when you do, you're like, oh, okay, that's what purpose does. It is a
Mhm.
continual unfolding.
Yeah. So your hour-long meditation is really getting yourself in alignment and maybe working on modifying your map. Is that a good
Well,
way to say it?
yeah, it was this way. It's setting in the presence of the deeper expression of my purpose. And I
Mm-hmm.
have an exercise I do where I actually imagine a door and I step through it into that fuller expression and I have a dialogue. And it's like the wisest being that I could ever be comes and says, okay, let's have a chat. And then when I
Good.
invite it in, it always is there for me.
Good.
Okay. And in some ways, that's really what the daily practice looks like.
Very good. All right, let's discuss my favorite power generating concept. It's called a Kaizen state of mind. And it's this beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements will add up over time to yield great big results. And it's so powerful, Nick, because it's about mindset, not circumstance. Kaizening life is knowing I can always do something better tomorrow than today. And it creates a gentle, relentless, never-ending power that keeps lifting me higher day after day after day. So, Nick, how does Kaizening your life help you increase your power to continuously become more so you can keep on giving more and impacting even more lives?
Here's what I want to say. Um, Kaizen was born out of World War II in Japan.
Mm,
It was born out of purpose.
mm,
The Kaizen is what purpose looks like when you actually apply it on a day-to-day basis. I mean,
mm.
literally, purpose, it's kind of like it's always saying, that's great. Now, come here. Okay. It is always pulling me. It's always going. So I'll
Yeah,
write something really amazing.
yeah.
And I'll say, okay, if I look at this for my purpose, and it'll say, okay, this is good. These three things you're going to have to really work on today because this is going to take, you need to take this to another level. It's always pulling. And so in
Yeah.
some ways, the difference that, when I work with a company and they say, oh, we want a purpose, and they get it, they say, oh, thank you very much. And they go running off. I go, okay, that's not purpose. The ones that I spend my time with are the ones that say, oh my gosh, we're in it. But oh man, here's where we need to like step up our game. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and it never stops.
Yeah.
You're in
Never
the
stops.
Kaizen all the time
Yes,
because
sir.
purpose is always going, okay, that's good. Now, come here.
Hmm.
Let's go.
Hmm.
How do you break the 4 minute mile? Once you break it, how do 100 other people then all of a sudden realize they
Correct.
can do it?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
because it now became possible. How do you make
Yeah.
the impossible possible? Is by doing it and not listening to anybody else.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
that's right on. And then Nick, one of the things I've thought about Kaizen, I discovered it, gosh, about 20 years ago. I was in a business meeting down in Los Angeles in the lounge, waiting for the meeting to happen, just flipping through magazines, and that's when Japan was really starting to put a hurt on Detroit. And they were using Kaizen and Six Sigma, and man, I saw that and said, "Oh boy, that's how I gotta use my life." And over the years, I've thought about by watching other people, Kaizen's great, but Kaizen and hold. Once you make a gain, don't give that sucker back for anything. And talk a little bit about how that works in your model of purpose, Kaizen and hold.
yeah. Well, once again, I think the bottom line is that once you step into it, then it becomes a habit and it becomes a practice, and then you do it on a regular basis, and it becomes part of how you see yourself. It's where the endorphins and the dopamine come. Okay. And um, whether it's from my perspective of how do I really become even better at helping someone discover what their purpose is and have them have even a bigger aha. And what does that look like? And how do I have that? What does that make? How does that feel for me and for the other person? Or, what does it take to write only not just a good piece of work, but write something that really has people say, oh my gosh, that really touched my heart.
Right.
And once you taste that, you don't want to have less of those moments. You want to
That's
have
correct.
more. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? When you
100%.
transcend space and time and you go to that ethereal place that is that magical place, you go, okay, I would like more of that place.
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah, very good. All right, let's move on to purpose. That's the second part of our happy formula. And I've observed that major life transformations, those great big discoveries of purpose, often come from devastation. Addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster, some horrible thing strips a life to its core, resulting in a big and often unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover the purpose of my life using inspiration. So, how about you, Nick? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the unique and distinct purpose you were meant to live?
So yeah, there's a number. And when we teach our courses, we have people tell all of these most challenging life stories as a sort of a place to start to find that core piece. For me, I was 14 years old. I was in Charleston, South Carolina. I was miserable. I was a nerdy kid. And it was just we just moved there. And I went to this bookstore, and this is in the 70s, so it ages me a little bit. And I looking through the book, there wasn't a self-help section, but I pulled this book out called The Third Eye.
Mm,
It was a book about Tibetan monks. And it had this section. I started reading it. It was about them learning how to fly. And I
mm,
looked at this and I said to myself, if they can do it, I can do it. If I can do it, I can teach others to do it.
mm,
And it was that moment, it's like my whole life changed. And I realized why I was here.
mm,
And the wording that I have for my purpose which one of the participants from a program gave me at one point was that I love is to be the Gandalf that knocks on your door.
Hmm.
So I am like Gandalf who knocks on Frodo's door and he's got to go on this journey with the ring. And for me, the ring is everyone's purpose and there's this contract. And that's what I'm really good at doing is knocking on people's door. I don't have to be there for the whole journey, but I'm here to wake people up to that deeper contract, that soul contract, and say, okay, you're the only one that can do this.
That's at age 14. So how did that change your life, that realization, and then affect your life and your education, and then in your work life and your career and your family life, up until the point that you discovered this core institute and the actual work you're doing? So what did that look like?
I quickly started looking at everything that was nonlinear, religious, spiritual, esoteric, everything from deep Christianity to deep Buddhism. And I knew that in the core essences of all of these, okay, with the meditating and sitting and cloistering, was the place you could find something that was the magic that once you found it, that was the key to everything. And I've trained and studied most every spiritual discipline
Hmm.
as a part of this process. And as I go underneath all of them, I find the same core elements. Sitting underneath all of them is that deeper
Yep.
sense of commitment to a purpose bigger than ourselves, a
Yep.
contract that is so big and so amazing that the only thing to do is to just keep moving.
Hmm.
And also doing it in fellowship with others who have the same
Hmm.
core values and beliefs as you. And so yeah, and whether I'm teaching at Lego Group, at Lego or West Point Military Academy, at the core essence of the magical that makes both those places operate is the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so help me understand, and our audience as well, at some point in your career, you were noticing that most leadership efforts were failing and that you felt like you had a solution to fix it. And that led to the work that you've been doing for the last 15 or 20 years. Am I getting that right? And if so, what was the catalyst? It sounds to me like you were being prepared for this moment, and then it was there for you.
So I think the real catalyst is I fell apart and I realized I was tired of helping people get business results and be meaningless.
Hmm.
I was really good at doing it.
How did you fall apart?
I basically crashed. I basically couldn't do it. I just physically, psychologically, I just was exhausted. I couldn't do it anymore. And I
Huh.
needed to find that deeper place in me as to what is it I really cared about
Hmm.
and what is it that really mattered to me. Because I realized just getting business results every year and improving them was not good enough. Because people started saying to me, so why are we doing this? Because at some point, it's like, this gets really hard. And I was like, I don't know. This is not what I'm in. And I realized that I didn't know the answer myself.
Huh.
I actually got physically sick and everything else. And then as I started to go do my own work of saying, well, why am I doing this? Why am I here? I had to go to that deeper place of purpose because that was the only place there was an answer. That was the only place there was an answer. And then I started working with a couple of beautiful people, Bob Quinn from the University of Michigan and then Bill George at Harvard. And I could finish the sentences and help. And with Bill, we ended up creating the whole authentic leadership movement. And at the
Hmm.
core of authentic leadership is purpose. It is the foundation. It's the core of the true north is your purpose as an authentic leader.
Hmm.
And so that's how this whole thing came together.
Hmm. That's very good.
None of that existed when and it was all of it happened because I stepped into purpose and purpose said, oh,
Yeah.
great, come over here, go talk to these people.
Well, that's it. And I'm glad we took that extra step to find out how you got here. And that's what I want people who are listening to understand is once you find your purpose, it almost by definition creates something new because it's uniquely yours. And in your case, as I'm listening to your story from your age 14 moment until the falling apart, and that's kind of like the devastation brings a transformation, but it was inspiration and devastation that all came together. And as you look back at it through the lens of purpose, none of it was an accident. You into where you're doing what you were called to do, but it took you a while to find it.
Yeah. And once again, I think the problem, the beauty of that is I had to discover it. No one gave it to me. And that's
Yeah.
that's what purpose is about creating the new map. Look, I've been teaching purpose. I was teaching purpose before anybody knew what it was or cared. And I was getting all these big companies to be willing to do it. And they were like, okay, great. And then all of a sudden they were like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm like, okay, that's amazing. Because I didn't know if it was working either. I was like, oh, good, this is really working. And I'm like, oh, and we all discovered this together. We're like, wow. We all be going wow at the same time. I'm like, okay, I just keep doing this thing. So welcome to the world I step into now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And just one thing before we go, then talk about, because you mentioned it, discovering your purpose and how much easier it is. I think there's a whole lot of angst and effort trying to create purpose. And purpose isn't something you create, it's something you discover. And by definition, discovering something, there's an ease to it. It's a discovery. It's not an effort.
It's a rediscovery, reconnecting to
Yeah.
it's seeing that which has always been there, that once you see it, you're like, how could I not see that this is the essence of who I always have been? And it's through telling our journey through life that we start to see that thread. And when we see it, we see what the momentum is. And when we see what the momentum is, then it's so much easier to say, oh, great, this is where I'm going. So let's get on the horse. That's the horse that is designed for me, as opposed to somebody saying, you should go on this other horse. They're like, no, that is not my horse. It's like, you go ride that horse, not me. And so that's in some sense. And once again, it's always going to go in a place for the most part that no one else is going. As Yogi Berra said, nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded.
Yeah, that's great. I love the horse analogy. That's fantastic. Gave me goosebumps. So Nick, thank you for all that. Now let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience.
Hey, Charlotte, it's time to get ready. Get set. Let's work. Mark your calendars for April 24th and join us for WITV7's Financially Lit and Fit Expo. We're bringing together youth innovators, community leaders, sponsors, vendors, and employers for a powerful day of financial literacy, career readiness, and opportunity. Showcase your brand, connect with motivated students, and make an impact that lasts. Don't miss it. Save the date for April 24th. For more information, visit WITV7.org. WITV7 is empowering minds and building futures.
Are you ready to transform your life? At happyliving.com, we've discovered 4 keys to help you live with purpose, joy, and significance. Unlock your truth with the Happy Quiz. Unlock your happy formula with inspiring stories from the Something Significant Show. Unlock your roadmap to happiness with our free ebook, Making Your Mark of Significance. And unlock your inspired life with our life-changing e-course, The Philosophy of You and Your Inspired Life. This is your time to shine. Go to happyliving.com now and click Unlock the Power of You. Unlock your power. Live your best life. happyliving.com.
And we're back, and this is the Something Significant Show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is Nick Craig, founder of the Core Leadership Institute and a global authority on purpose-driven leadership who has helped more than 25,000 leaders discover and lead from their core purpose. After years of working with top organizations and institutions, Nick uncovered a powerful truth. Purpose isn't something we create, it's something we remember. Now, through his Purpose to Impact work and his Leading from Purpose book, Nick helps leaders find clarity and act with confidence on what matters most. Nick, I just love how you help people remember who they truly are. And I think you're going to love this article. It's called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It revealed something truly powerful, that the simple act of giving can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on the planet. Science confirms that when we give our time, talents, and treasure, it doesn't just help others, but it transforms us too. Giving helps us rise above obstacles, it helps us find meaning, and it helps us discover our purpose. So I updated our formula. power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, Nick? Has giving your time, talents, and treasure been a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting through hardships and for bringing real meaning into your life?
I think that fundamentally what I'm really clear about is that if when I'm focused on myself, I don't know how purposeful I am. I mean, you know what? It's just kind of there's a little Nick inside who just wants to be taken care of. You know what I'm saying? Wants to be loved, taken care of. And I don't think that has much to do with my purpose.
Hmm.
But when I'm sitting with someone and we're sitting with their most challenging life stories and the challenge of what is the gift to who they are, and we go to that place where we uncover what that answer is, and it's this huge aha for them and for me and process. That experience of giving, usually somebody's crying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the good cry, not the bad cry.
Correct.
I'm saying. And so I just think purpose has at its core is about sharing on the journey. And it's really, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And I think that's just at the core of what this work ends up being about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Very good. Okay. So the science says giving brings meaning to our lives, and the joy we feel, like you were just describing, the joy that we feel when we're creating value for others confirms it. But there's something deeper at work, Nick. I believe the magic of life comes when we're giving from living in our purpose, because that's where joy doesn't just touch the receiver, it flows to the giver too, and amazingly, even to those who witness the giving. Something else happens there too. Fear seems to loosen its grip, self-focus shrinks, peace grows steadier, and hope grows stronger. And it all comes from aligning with purpose and becoming more so we can give more. So Nick, I'd like our audience to witness what that magic looks like in your life. So please sit back, my friend, open your heart and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making in their lives because you're giving from living in your purpose. One person said, the most significant transformation for me has been learning and relearning that my most valuable contributions happen when I'm in my purpose. Another said, Nick helped me to distill a life full of experiences into my purpose, which acts as a guiding light, helping me stay centered and grounded so I can lead effectively. And another, Nick is an inspirational facilitator, coach, author, and visionary. Others said, he's the master of purpose, truly transformative. He operates with integrity, authentic, productive, energizing, motivating, innovative, collaborative, truly impactful. Activating my purpose was not a process of invention, but of discovery. Nick masters the balance of art and science. He unleashes the full potential of individuals and teams. He effortlessly coaxes out the truest and most impactful version of ourselves and our teams. Having discovered my own purpose has really enhanced my impact as a leader. Working with Nick dramatically changed my professional path, and I can't imagine leading Ben & Jerry's without it. And finally, this person said very simply, Nick is the best coach and facilitator I have ever had the pleasure of working with. So Nick, how does all that incredible love make you feel?
It's wonderful to hear, my friend. And the best news is it's all a beautiful expression of the purpose that works through me. And I happen to be in service to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
When it's about me, Nick, doing it, that's dangerous. When it's about the purpose that works through me, that makes these things happen that are way better than I could ever do, I go,
yep.
Okay, now we're talking. Right?
Yep. And folks, if you're listening, that's it. That's what this show is all about. We're here, Nick, me, and all our guest stars, to encourage you, our wonderful listeners, to find that same magic in your own life because it's available to you. I believe it's available to everyone. I'm sure Nick agrees. And it comes from this great big happy circle. Giving your time, talents, and treasure is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings a deep joy to you and to those around you too. So it seems that giving leads to purpose and giving from purpose leads to joy. So Nick, if I'm going to fully capture the exponential power of our happy formula, I've got to tweak it just a little bit more. To power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power, and that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you?
Well, I like that adventure. That sounds like a lot of fun. So yeah, that's once again, I just think that there's a level of deep satisfaction and gratitude. And you think it's more than happiness. Happy is I can give you some Ben and Jerry's, I'll make you happy.
Yeah.
But in some sense, that deeper sense of awe and gratitude that something got created that's bigger than little old me.
Yeah.
Then and you hope somebody recorded it because you want to watch it and go, did that actually happen? That's when the good stuff happens, right? It's like you get out of the way, and it's just amazing to watch it all come to be.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. All right, my friend, let's wrap things up the lightning round. I love the power of words and how the right quote can stop us, make us think, and sometimes even help us remember something that we've known all along. As I was preparing for today, a few surfaced, not just because they're meaningful, but because they echo your work around purpose, identity, and the courage to follow what's already within us. So I want to read each one to you and ask you to share the first thoughts that come to your mind. No rehearsing, no, just bring us the truth. Here we go. This is one from somewhere in my past. I don't know the author. It says, once you get where you want to be, you're not there anymore.
Yeah, you disappear. I mean, the whole point is that's the gift. The real joy is when you completely disappear.
Very good. Nick, this one I shared with you earlier, The Golden Pool of Magic, and I pulled this quote from there. Robert McCammon said, we all start out knowing magic, but then we get it educated right out of our souls.
Yeah, in some sense, the beautiful gift of being a kid, the question that we ask, what's your magical moment from childhood before anybody told you who you should be? And that's where your purpose, and most of the time, people's purpose just shows up right there, and you can see them. They get so happy.
Yeah.
I get these senior executives who are like so serious all the time. I mean, literally, they scare people when they walk in the room. And then when they talk about playing this crazy thing of baseball in some crazy place where there wasn't enough room and the balls were bouncing all over, and then they got hit in the head and they got up and whatever, and they get so excited, you're like, okay, it's a completely different person.
So this one's from T.S. Eliot. He said, we shall not cease from exploration, and at the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and to know the place for the first time.
I think the bottom line is we are all chasing after the magic thing that's going to make everything okay. And it's only until we finally realize we're already there and that we really spent all that time chasing after somebody else's so that we find that we're home. But you have to do the journey to realize where home is.
Yeah, correct. This is from Michelangelo. It talks in a very similar way. The sculpture is already complete within the marble block. I just have to chisel away the unnecessary rock.
He has to release the figure from the rock. Yeah. So in some sense, that's what purpose is all about, is releasing that which is not purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And to finding the angel that sits underneath. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I discovered in my journey is if you'll just stop hanging around people or things or places that make you feel bad, you're going to improve your life instantly.
Big time.
Yeah. This is from Joseph Campbell. He says, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Yeah. In some ways, I think that really gets to the parts of us that we push away that we don't like are the places where all the gifts are. And that's where we find a deeper sense of what the real purpose is that's inside of us. If purpose is only used for when it's easy and it's comfortable, I don't think that's purpose. Purpose is about when it ain't easy and it ain't comfortable and you're going to do it anyway. Having kids is a perfect example of what it means. It shows that parents who have no kids are much more happier in their life than ones that have one or neutral, two and beyond. It's like, it is an interesting show, but there's deep meaning in the journey of creating these beings.
Yeah, 100%. This is from Pablo Picasso. He said, the meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away.
Once again, it has no value if you keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you give that gift, and how do you help other people become awake? Right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yep. And Nick, this is our show anchor. It's from Goth. He said, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Exactly. And that means also that synchronicity is awaiting around the corner when you step into that magic place. Yes.
100%. Expand on that a little bit, because I've written about that as well. Once you discover your purpose, and you decide to walk in it, then you say serendipity or the universe or things step in to help propel you along that journey. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Congruency is incredibly powerful at a spiritual, physical level. Okay, if we look at any of those beings through history that we really admire, who we really thought had a huge impact on the world, is because that deep congruency was present. And with that came the synchronicity that created those events that were the ones that we all sit now and cherish on the holidays that we happen to celebrate. And the truth is for each of us, we all know exactly, everybody listening has had these moments happen. We all know that it's when you let go of the attachment to the outcome and you just step into the knowing that it will occur, that it ends up occurring. But it never happens in the linear matter. It happens in a non-linear way. And then it's always better than what you could have come up with yourself. You go, okay, that's a much better outcome than what I was coming up with. And you're like, okay, that's what it really looks like when you're in the game. If I look at the kind of organizations I've gotten to work with, okay, I mean, who could say that, 15 years ago, oh, I'm going to work with Lego and West Point and Ben and Jerry's, and the list goes on, right? And I get to do a call with you, whatever. People would be like, okay, you're smoking something. But welcome to the show, right? Purpose has its own contract.
Yep. Very good. Wonderful, Nick. So these quotes and your responses give voice to the search for meaning, the courage to question the path, and the clarity that comes when we try to remember who we truly are. So thanks for sharing your wisdom and your purpose-driven work with us today. And folks, if Nick's story has inspired you, if it's lifted your spirit or encouraged you to begin remembering not who the world expects you to be, but who you were created to be, then I invite you to share that energy with our incredible team at WITV7 who make this show possible. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage people in need. Every gift matters, big and small. With your support and their tireless work, lives are being transformed, and our circle of love keeps expanding. So donate today, because it'll do good, and it'll make you feel good too. Nick, I love the way you help people slow down enough to remember who they truly are, discover their purpose, and then lead from there. And I admire how you've taken something so deep and made it practical, helping leaders move with clarity and courage on what matters the most. And I'm super happy that you've shared your wise, courageous, and engaging spirit on our show today. Will you please take a moment to share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience?
My parting remark is that there's no point in waiting. Your purpose is already with you today. It's already here, and you can just do a simple exercise of writing to yourself and saying, if my purpose was writing to me right now, what would it want to say? You'll know its purpose when it has a particular tone of voice that you go, that is not something I can ignore. Purpose is here for all of us right this moment. You don't have to wait.
And then, so Nick, expand on that. Once you've written that down, what do you do next?
You listen, and you start the dialogue with this part of you that's always waiting for you to ask it for its words of wisdom. It will not tell you. It will not sort of say when you wake up in the morning, hey, listen. But if you do sit down and say, listen, I would like to have a chat. Would you like to have a chat with me? And say, okay, what do I need to hear right now? Your purpose will have no problem telling you some things that will be incredibly helpful. You may not like it. You may go, ooh, baby, this is really, okay. So, and then you'll say, okay, I think I'm going to wait another couple of days before I have a conversation. But it's sitting there for all of us. You don't have to wait.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Thank you, Nick. And friends, it's because of stories like Nick's and listeners like you that we've been named one of the top 100 life purpose podcasts worldwide, ranked at number 17. So thank you. I appreciate your support for our mission and for sharing these stories of inspiration and purpose. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like Nick and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. If you'd like to learn more about Nick Craig, explore his work, and discover what it means to lead from your core purpose, you'll find all the links in the show notes. Find Nick, explore his work, buy his book, and take a moment to remember what's been within you all along. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So don't miss out. Go to happyliving.com right now on your phone and start at the top. We've created a place where people begin to believe, where real stories, powerful tools, and a deeper source of purpose all come together to unlock their power. And that's what we want for you. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. We're out.